Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Making Sense of It All. We are nearing the PGA Championship, so I am very blessed to have my buddies from the Tin Cup Club join me. Guys, thank you so much. Wes, as always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Always a pleasure and ready to talk some golf.
Mike Padron, thanks for coming back. I
Yes,
haven't scared
sir.
you away yet.
No, I appreciate it, man. I enjoy this way too much.
And straight from the ER, Dr. Blakely, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate you having me.
So, as always, before we get rolling, guys, we're going to talk about what we got in our hands. Padron, what you drinking today?
Well, I figured since this is my fifth ranked major, I went with my fifth favorite bottle on my shelf, which is a Colonel Taylor small batch. There
Nice.
you go.
I'm a fan.
I mean, that's no knock on it. It's damn good. So, but figured I'd.
I mean, I feel like you just slapped Colonel Taylor in the face right there.
Yeah.
I mean, the four it's going against is pretty tough, but well, that's for another episode.
Blakely, what you drinking?
I'm doing a little bit of the Willet.
Nice.
Nice. Bottle's pretty. I said I'll take it down.
Mr. Altus, what you got this week?
I've got my trusty Buffalo Trace.
Very nice. So, my stuff always comes with stories, but so I was at a Kentucky Derby party last Saturday, or I guess it's Saturday prior to last, and there was a bourbon. It was a thing called bobbing for bourbon, and so I was really hoping that you actually had to dive in face first and actually pull these things out to get bottles of bourbon, but it was by hand. Just so you know, just it was kind of disappointing, but it was what it was. But anyways, they had a wall full of bourbon, and you paid $20 for one pull. You paid 50 for three. So I was like, first time I was like, you know what? I'll just pay for one. I went paid for one and immediately pulled this bottle of bourbon. It's called Blue Note Juke Joint. It is bottled in Kentucky. It's a Kentucky bourbon, but it's distributed in Memphis, Tennessee. So they kind of go along with the whole Memphis blues and everything. Pretty solid bourbon, but it's a small batch, 93 proof. If you're in Memphis, check it out. Pretty good.
Blue
Cheers,
Note is one of
boys.
my favorite. Blue Note, there's one single one that impossible to find. That's I believe it's an 8 or 9 year. I refuse to open it because the last bottle, and it's Blue Note. It's funny you brought that out. It's not the Juke Joint, but they don't even make it anymore, and I've not been able to find it. And it's in that top four. It was ironically we just talked about. So,
Nice.
All right, cheers, boys.
it
Yeah.
was
Cheers.
All right, so it's the week of the PGA Championship, and I guess everybody and Mike kind of kicked us off there, so I'll probably go to him first here as far as where these majors rank. Everyone looks at them, and everyone's kind of got their favorite events. Mike, I'll kind of start with you. You said it's your fifth favorite major. I'll let people infer there what they will, but tell me, what are your thoughts on the PGA Championship?
Yeah, that kind of goes along the lines of our talk before the players. So I threw the players into the 3 spot. Obviously, Augusta was 1 for me. I love the Open, and then I had the players for U.S. Open 5 or U.S. Open 4, sorry, and PGA 5th. I don't know. A lot of these guys do change venues, so I can't use that excuse as of consistently changing venues. It's just there's nothing that gets exciting. I do like it better early now than it used to be. I believe it used to be closer to the fall, if not the last event.
Yeah, it was August,
Last
wasn't it?
major, yeah. So I do like it early. I think it gives it a little more presence because this is the second major. Now you still got, obviously there's a person that can still run the Grand Slam. So it does give it a little bit of hope. I don't know. I mean, I love it. Any golf and any major, I love. It just for some reason, it is just another tournament for me, with a little higher stakes and a little better field. But still, that's kind of my feeling on it. I'm sure it's a knock on the PGA, but I will say the one thing I love about it is the PGA professionals that get to qualify for this. I watched that to the very last hole when they were trying to qualify for it. That was fun to watch, and watch these guys some of these guys live out a dream of being able to play in the PGA Championship. That's pretty cool, and the fact that there's a bunch of them in there, that's awesome.
No doubt, no doubt. Blakely, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm excited for it, just like everybody else. I'd probably put it if I'm going to only talk about the actual majors, Mike. Number three, Augusta, number one, can't be beat in my book for many reasons. Then I like the U.S. Open, and then I'd say the PGA. My biggest reason, and it's only more recently, but they really make a big show about and do a lot of backstories on these PGA professionals that get in. And it is really interesting to me. And it also gives you some, new people to look at and root for. And I find that part interesting. Um, Story for another day, but I also think they should do um, a little bit extra in each major, just to kind of show people how difficult the courses really are. But yeah, I like you get to see some quote unquote, more regular people out there playing too.
Yeah. Wes, what about you? I mean, being a teaching pro, that probably, some of that's probably pretty cool for you too.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it ranks number four. Obviously, I'm going the Masters, U.S. Open, the Open Championship, and this falls in last. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's just a elevated event. I think it is really cool that PGA professionals get to qualify for it. Was it last year we had Michael Block? He just made a big splash on it, and everyone was pumped up like what he got to play with Rory in the final group. Had a hole in one that didn't, just went straight into the cup, and he didn't even know it. So I mean, it does bring that extra element of people that do the day-to-day grunt work and being a PGA pro. They get out and showcase some of their skill. Um, I'm kind of like Mike here is I actually enjoy the players more than I do the PGA. Uh, and it might be because we've been able to play the course. We know the course. It's in our backyard. So that might have a little bit to do with
Sure.
it as well. But yeah, as far as if I'm sitting down to watch golf and I had to kick one of them out, it'd probably be the PGA Championship, and I'd watch the players instead if I could only watch like four tournaments a year.
Gotcha.
So that's where I kind of land with it. So yeah, that's where I put the PGA Champ.
All right, so I'm going to be a little different here, guys. I would say, as far as the thing that I like about it, and as far as ranking it, I think I would agree with everybody. The Masters has always been my favorite major to watch every single year. Um, and I always think that the British Open brings in something that is so different just because it's nothing I've ever experienced. It's not I can't even relate to it. And then the US Open is so challenging that you're watching the best in the world struggle at what they're doing. My thoughts around the PGA Championship is that they set up the course pretty fair. It's tough.
Mm.
They've always put it at difficult venues. They always make it like, kind of a tough challenge, but they seem like they set it up fairly to where you see the best players in the world able to score, and they're kind of fighting it out to the end, not trying to survive or not trying to, it's they're out there, they're playing the golf course, and they're able to score, they're able to actually be aggressive and go out and win a tournament. So for that reason, I would probably put it third on my list. And it really isn't because, and if I'm ranking them, the Masters first, the the Open Championship second because it's so different and it's so unique to get up in the morning and be able to watch golf in the United States, and then PGA and then the US Open fourth. And not because I don't like the US Open, but because I think it's like a survival test. It's not necessarily something to get really excited about watching.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's for me. That's one of the things. Also, the other thing that I like so much about it is they really have started to, in the last, I'd say probably 5 years, maybe longer now. They've tried to bring in some unique events, like they do a long drive challenge in the practice rounds. They always, they have the PGA teaching professionals have the opportunity to qualify to play it. So they've tried to do some things to give it its own personality, which I really like that they've tried to give it something to make it look a little bit different than the other events.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I know they've been doing they've actually been doing that long drive thing for many, many years. And what's kind of interesting about the PGA Championship with the history of it, it used to be match play back
Right.
in like when it opened, like when it first started, 1916 to 57, I believe it was. It was all match play, which I thought it
That'd be cool.
was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
So that would be pretty interesting. I'm sure that doesn't work well with TV time. So that's probably a big reason why that went to the curb. But I mean, it's it definitely has a different twist. And you mentioned something about the U.S. Open. I agree with. Sometimes when the USGA loses the course, it kind of sucks to watch. So U.S.
That's
Open
true.
for me can like bounce between 2 and 3, depending on course setup and if it gets away from them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To me,
the battle that U.S. Open, man, is when you've got a -1 to winning the tournament. That's kind of crazy. I mean, watching these guys struggle.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, Jesse might be convincing me a little bit here on this because the PGA tends to be more scoring.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think we're going to have some good scores out this week. So I can be convinced, I guess.
it's all entertainment at the end of the day. I mean, no matter what the tournament name is on it, it's the fact, are we going to sit down and be entertained by what we're watching on television? Or if you go to the event, if you buy a ticket, whatever it is, it's, is it worth your time? Is it worth your dollars to invest in watching it? I think at the end of it, like I say that about a lot of things. I say that about playing golf, unless you're a professional. Is it worth
Hmm.
your time? Is it worth your dollars? So it's, I think that's where for me sometimes they kind of hook me on this tournament versus the U.S. Open, is that I feel like I'm looking for something on Sunday. If somebody's within 5 strokes of the lead, you think about like what Justin Thomas did several years ago, like when he came back and won it, or like, could you do
Yeah.
that in the U.S. Open? Is it even possible, like on Sunday, to come back from like if you're down a large deficit? I don't know.
It's usually someone loses it.
Right.
No one,
It's somebody
no
giving
one
it
wins
away,
it.
not winning it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is the problem with the US Open. A lot of times it's like, how many times you see like a ball hit the middle of the green and it doesn't have a chance to stay on the green and it was a good shot. Like you didn't have another option. So yeah, I mean, you could definitely convince me to slide US Open down a few notches depending on course setup.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about the actual venue. Like it's at Quail Hollow this year in North Carolina. First off, is anybody familiar with the course? As far as like, is there anything where you like, does Quail Hollow hold any kind of special, like, do you think about it and like, oh my God, that's an amazing venue to watch on television, or that's something special? Does anybody have that?
No,
I
I
mean, the
mean
only
name
thing,
recognition, but that's it.
Right,
yeah, I mean, 18th
That
hole is
logo,
about,
that logo is badass.
you know, 18th hole is about all I can ever remember about it. I think
right.
what they call it, the Green Mile or something like that. Might be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
But
you're
it,
right.
but it's a, yeah, I mean, it's
We'll
a
go with
very,
that.
it's a, yeah, it's a very just,
It's a
it's,
parkland course. I mean, it's just
it's a golf course in the United States. Yeah, it's Parkland.
so I was just reading here. It's Robert Trent Jones Senior
Hmm.
design, which is kind of cool.
But think about that. Like as far as, I guess that's one of the different. I think one of the biggest differences, like with the PGA Championship, sometimes is that, like you said, it's a golf course in the United States. It's not it's not some hollowed ground that like you see at the U.S. Open venues all the time, like on all these old, very difficult golf courses. It's the Donald Ross courses, everything. Not saying that they don't ever go to them, but they incorporate a lot of other venues. Like in this one, I almost would argue sometimes it's played every year on the PGA Tour. Like the PGA Tour stops at Quail Hollow for the Wells Fargo Championship or the Truist Championship, as it's called now. Now that I know this year they did it in Philadelphia, but it is typically held at Quail Hollow. So it's not like it's a unique venue that we don't ever see.
Yeah, I mean, when they do the US Open at Pebble Beach, we'll see Pebble Beach twice a year, but
Right.
it's again, that's Pebble Beach. It's a little bit different. I don't think people mind seeing it twice a year, especially when it can be on completely different conditions. Like you get it early in the year, it's wet and everything, then you get in the summer, it's firm, fast. Could be a little bit wet, but it's not going to play the same as it does in the beginning of the year.
I know none of us have had the opportunity to play it. Blakely, you're probably the closest to it as far as from a like. Do you know anybody who's ever played it?
I'm the closest to it from a distance perspective. I believe all three of you guys will be playing Quail Hollow before me. No, I don't know anybody that's played it. Honestly.
I don't know anybody that's played it. I don't know. I mean, I knew a professional up in North Carolina that talked about it a long time ago that said it was a very nice golf course, but nothing to where I'm like, kind of like when we're asking, what things do you think about seeing on it? Like, I don't know anything to where it's like, super memorable.
The Green Mile, by the way, is hole 16, 17, and 18.
There we go.
And
There you go.
fun fact, it's actually only 7/10 of a mile to be exact.
That's fun.
And somebody here says if you add 577-yard par the 15th hole, then it becomes a full mile. So if you add the 15th hole, you got yourself an actual Green Mile.
Padron, I guarantee you that I could make it into 3 miles by hitting it right and left off the tee.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, this year, this is a long course, man. I mean, we're just talking par 71, 7,626 yards. That is a par 71.
That's a long course, but it's not a 289 par 3. I don't know who.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
289-yard par 3. What you boys hitting? Blakely, what do you got off the tee on a 289-yard par 3?
I'm hitting a driver, baby. I'm hitting the Epic Flash by Callaway.
Padron?
Depends on where the trouble is, I guess. Probably driver as well. If not, worst case, mini driver.
Altus? Yeah.
I'm going to be driver, maybe rope a 3-wood. I don't know. It depends on the conditions because I think that hole's actually a little downhill too.
So I'm probably going 7-iron, laying up to a yard, and then hitting a lob wedge in from there. That's probably my.
And you probably outscored all three of us doing that.
Probably the proper play.
Yeah. Hole 17 in the Green Mile is 223 yards. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's a 7-iron for some of these guys, but that's pretty good ways.
But what do you think? I mean, honestly, like par 3s that are kind of ridiculously long. Do you like from a design standpoint or your enjoyment of playing it, Blakely? Do you enjoy a long par 3, or do you think it's kind of like eh?
Yeah, I don't enjoy it. I kind of feel about the 230-yard par 3 how you boys felt about hole 6 or 7 in the Highlands. It's just a gimmick to me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so we're out here playing target golf. It's supposed to be a par 3. I can hit the ball 233 yards, but it's not going to be able to stop right by the pin. I can't check it up. There's no, the only skill in that is how far can you hit it for me, because I'm not that good of a player. I want something that's, 200 max, right? So I can take a nice little iron in there.
Right. Wes, what about you?
I'm not the biggest fan. I think I can recall more memorable short par 3s than I can long par 3s. And I think you can go through probably the history of golf and just name iconic par 3s, and they're not 220, 230, 240. So I think you're kind of wasting some space, to be honest. I can understand you put it out there for the pros that they need to be tested on that, and I get that. But as far as the everyday player, I mean, anything over 180, I think for most players is asking a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if I can just flash back to when we were out at Bandon and played the par 3 course out there, those are some of the best par 3s collectively you'll ever play, and it'll test you.
Sure.
It's not easy. So it's a well-designed par 3. You can get it a $140, $150, and you're going to challenge everyone.
100%. I agree with that. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, no, I'm total agreement there. Well, what's cool this weekend, the Truist, that one par 3 was late
Like
in the
93 yards or something.
95 yards or something like that. It was playing on Sunday. Oh, that's awesome. I think that was so cool. And it's not like they were just sticking it and tapping in for birdie. I mean, you put a right pin placement there. It's a tough hole no matter what. So I don't like the long ones. I mean, there's on Quail Hollow, there's going to be 4 of them. The shortest is 184. Right. And the other three are all over 200. 249 is the longest. And and that's the par three sixth. I'm not a
289,
big
right?
249. Well,
The
maybe it
89 is
plays
in
U.S. Open.
Oakmont. Yeah.
Oakmont.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
289.
Now 249, it could play a little longer, could play a little shorter. Funny story, he was talking about the bandit. I don't know if you remember, Wes, the par three 11th, I want to say, or 12th on trails. And I walked up to it and I said, all right, so this is a drivable par four. And the guy goes, no, this is a par three. I was like, you got to be kidding me, man.
Yeah.
And he goes, and actually, it's the easiest hole on the course. I was like, what are you? I was blown away, man. I think it was hitting a hybrid or even a three wood, I think, into it. And it was 18 handicap on the course on Bandon Trails. And I was just blown away. I have no idea how that even was possible. But that's crazy. Yeah, I'm not a fan of long par three. I think 200 max, man.
Yeah.
It's a nice little 5 or 6 iron, and you're good to go.
I'll tell you, for me, what I would love to see, and I don't see them do this much in professional golf tournaments. I'd love to see them utilize like every tee box that they have and
Mhm.
and make it to where like one day maybe it does play 250 yards, but then the next day all of a sudden it's 140 yards, or it's it's like ridiculously different every single day. I would love to see, like, to me that would be really cool, is that if you completely change the test on those par threes every single chance that they get to see them, so that every shot that they have during the round, like as far as a tee shot from those par threes, it never looks the same. That would be
Yeah.
really cool to me.
Yeah,
Really cool.
that's a great idea, especially like you said on these really long par threes.
Right.
That would be really fun to watch, especially just as a viewer. You don't know where they're going to be playing. You'll find out
100%.
when the
It
coverage
makes it a
comes
totally
on. It's like,
different. Yeah, totally different.
yeah, I'd like that.
So we mentioned it like kind of up front when we were talking about the course, but Quail Hollow is a fully private place. Like, it's not somewhere that any of us could go up there without knowing somebody or without getting invited. We couldn't go play the course. Like, do you feel that when these majors are at private venues versus public courses where people can relate to them, people could actually go play them, even though Pebble Beach is a ridiculous, a ridiculous green fee, and it costs you 2 nights, you have to stay at the lodge there. If you wanted to go play Pebble, you can go play Pebble. So like Jerome, when you see these things that are at a private course, does it make you look at them and say, "Man, I'd love to play there someday," or does it make you kind of say, "I can't really relate to that. It's not as cool, not as fun."
Uh, I I love being able to sit down and watch a tournament and be like, hey, on that hole right there, and point out to my wife or kids and be like, you see that tree 300 yards right? That's where I was on this hole. And I was punching out over here. Like, I actually
Yeah.
enjoy being able to tell them, like, this is where I hit it in the water right there. Uh, you know, I love being able to watch a tournament knowing, obviously, you're playing the same course, but it's a whole different course. I mean, we played last week and we played stadium course. We missed you, Jesse. We played stadium course, and you look back at those professional tees, and you're like, "Geez, man, I don't even know how they do it from back there." So it is a different course, but you get to go through it, and the bunkers, where shots are going. It's so much different watching a tournament, knowing the course. Obviously, like, ultra exclusive. I think they have 350 members at roughly a Quail Hollow. I mean, that's rather small, I think.
It is.
So it's a
Incredible.
pretty exclusive course, and not a lot of people know it. The only thing is, you do get to play it you see it every year on the tournament, so you do get to know some of the courses or some of the holes. And I mean, obviously, I'm looking at it this year will be a little different because it's more memorable than just a regular Wells Fargo, the Truist, being a major. But I love playing a course that obviously we haven't done a ton of them, but love being able to watch a course on TV that you've actually played yourself. I'm a huge fan of that.
No doubt. Wes, what do you think?
I'm 50-50 on it. I do like what kind of Mike was saying that, oh, I remember when Tiger hit this shot from here at, TPC Sawgrass, or you can kind of relive some of those moments and be put in the moment. But at the same time, it's kind of cool to see a course that you'll probably never have the opportunity to set your feet on. So, see what's out there, see the differences in the design, because I love the design aspect of things. So, but I guess if I had to choose, I would like to be able to see places that you would be able to play. And I think that's where maybe the PGA should kind of differentiate themselves a little bit and maybe try and do way more of that and just, sprinkle in a private here and there, because the U.S. Open kind of has that on lock. They have been trying to go to more public places, but U.S. Open's always kind of known, all right, we're going to go play the ultra super private, old school design courses, and that's our thing, and we're going to trick them up and
Right.
screw with these guys. But yeah, I enjoy it either way. But if I had to lean one way or the other, I definitely like seeing courses that people can go out and play.
Right. Blakely, I'm gonna change it up a little bit for you. Like,
Yeah.
would you rather see a PGA championship that, like, let's say it's on a completely public course, like if they took like a Jax Beach, like Jacksonville Beach for people who live in Jacksonville, Florida, like where it's a completely public course to where everybody and their mother can play it. It's a fair price. Anybody can afford to play it. But then they shut it down, they tricked it up, or they made it, as good as they possibly could for professionals to go out and play. And I know I'm using kind of an exaggerated public
Yeah.
course here, but
Mhm.
like, would you rather see something like that and say, all right, let's see how good these guys are on a track that I've played, a million times versus something, again, ultra private that you'll never put your feet on?
Yeah, no, I mean that's an interesting question. I feel like they did that this year. They played a event and it was like a $35 course or something like that. I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, it was
Hidden Hills,
one of
wasn't it?
the Texas, one of the Texas
Oh,
ones.
Yeah, it was out in Texas.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I actually thought it was very cool that they went out there and it said, "Hey, well, this is just a normal course out here in
Yeah.
Texas," and these guys went out there and dominated it. It would be
Yep.
even cooler to me if I had played it.
Right.
I kind of think that for me, I like to watch golf. I like to watch um, athletes do something that I go out and try to do on the range and cannot reproduce. So I know how difficult it is, whether or not they're playing at a place I have played at or that I'm able to go to. I just like to watch it. Now, when it's at a course that I've been on, yeah, it has a different feeling to me. Um, but I don't enjoy it any more or less. I can just, I guess, relate to certain aspects of it a little bit.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I enjoy both of them, and I would like to watch. I did enjoy watching them go to a normal course, but I'd never been there before.
Sure.
It was kind of still a wash for me. It was like watching them play at a course I've not gone to.
Fair
They
enough.
play what, like 40-ish events a year.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
do not play that much golf, so I'm not going to be making it to half of these courses.
I always think it's to me, like, I feel the same way. Like, and it doesn't even necessarily, I don't even necessarily have had to have played the course, but I really do like it when they're playing somewhere that I've been. And it was like the first time I ever got to go see a practice round at the Masters. Like, I felt like every time that I watched the Masters, then it was totally different because I actually knew how much undulation or how much elevation change there was from tee to green, or like, how much slope there was on certain things. Whereas on television, you can't necessarily always see it because they don't put the TV cameras at ground level to where you're actually seeing, what that looks like. You get that kind of elevated or perched look at it. And so sometimes it's kind of vanilla. Like it's like we can hear and if you got great announcers that are describing it to you, that's fantastic. But it's like, sometimes it really doesn't matter other than what your eyes are able to absorb from the television set.
Yeah.
Wes, do you think that this course, does it favor one type of player over another, having the PGA Championship here this year?
I mean, looking back at some of the winners at Quail Hollow, there's definitely a theme of some good drivers with some distance. I mean, you go back, here's your like last few winners. It's Rory, Wyndham, Rory, Max Homa, Jason Day. And then you throw Brian Harmon in there, which is, whatever.
Crazy.
But yeah, it's crazy. And then JT won in 2017. So I think it
So Rory is
a
what
lot.
you're saying.
Rory, well, I think
Yeah.
the way Rory's playing right now, it's kind of, yeah.
Might be the first pick
Everyone
off the board here.
Yeah. I mean, Rory's won here 4 times.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
yeah, I mean, it's just like, holy crap, he's kind of that's just kind of the prototype right now.
It's like a home game for him.
Yeah, I just think iron game and then also getting off the tee. So tee to green, I think, is the combination for this course.
I know they were talking about it the other night on TV, and they were talking about how Bryson DeChambeau, and probably you'd have to throw Rory in the same mix because he hits it pretty much just as far.
Mm.
But DeChambeau, they're talking about like how there were several holes to where he could absolutely bomb it over one of the like some of the dog legs, like just basically cut them off and just like 500-yard. They were talking about some of the holes that are potentially 500 yards that he could potentially go driver wedge or driver lob wedge into some of them. Padron, you were raising your hand there. I don't know if
No,
you
no,
can.
no, I was not raising my hand. Sorry, I was turning on my TV. I forgot you reminded me of Live From is on right now, so I was actually turning it on. I was researching it, man. 2025 is obviously private. 2026, Aronimink is also
Ronamac.
ultra private.
Mhm.
2027 is considered PGA Frisco is a public-private venture, so you can technically play it.
Mhm.
And then the rest of them, Olympic Club, Baltus Straw, Congressional. Not until
Private,
2020, not until 2031 will we have a course we 100% have played, and that's Kiowa Island, or as somebody on the internet the other day called it, Kiowa, which absolutely blew my mind that they would pronounce it that way. But 2031, Kiowa Island. There you go.
Very cool. So I guess with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Mike.
Yeah.
Before we wrap this up, we've got picks for the week.
All right. And you'll have to bear with me because I do have Shelton's first two picks. So obviously Blakely takes one. I got the other, and then I'll have to text him while we're all picking. So results from Master standings. Altus is in first place by a lot. He's at 4.4 million with the McElroy win. I am at 1.3 million. Stakes is third with 1.1. Shelton with 1 million, and Blakely at 361K. So, but hey, one win, and you're obviously back in it pretty quickly. So we're gonna do the way this works now. Before it was random draw, now we're working backwards. So Blakely will pick first. We'll go from last to first, and then do the snake draft right back, and Blakely will pick last as well. So Blakely, this is your pick. You cannot go with Colin Morikawa or Cam Smith. Sorry,
Damn.
this week. So what you got, bud?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Rory, man. Yeah, he's won here before. He hits it far. He's playing well. There's only one or two people that have won twice on tour, so that's what
You
I
got
want.
it. That's first pick it weeks, and it got Wes 4.2 million. So that's hopefully same for you. So Shelton, his first two picks were Rory. Obviously, was one, and he said Bryson would be his second pick. So he is getting Bryson DeChambeau and cutting off those dog legs all week. That might be a pretty damn good pick.
Yeah.
So Jesse, you're up.
I guess I'm going to have to go with Scotty Scheffler. He
Yeah.
won what was 2 weeks ago?
You can't go Bryson even if you wanted to because you went Bryson Spieth last time.
Yep.
And Shelton went Scheffler Koepka, so he couldn't have gone Scotty. So I'm going to text him real quick, just let him know to give me about 4 more picks. That way we can do it. And then so I'm up here. I wanted all 3 of those guys. And actually, I love Ludwig Oberg this week, but unfortunately, I picked him last time. I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa. I think he's not the longest hitter in the world, but he is number one in strokes gained off the tee with accuracy. He's at 78% or something this year. Is number one on the PGA Tour. So I think you're going to have some accuracy this week as well. And he's always a good with his iron. So let's go Colin Morikawa. And Wes, you're up. You cannot pick Rory or Tommy.
I am going to go with JT.
Mm.
I like
like
the
it.
way he's been striking the ball, and his approach play is starting to heat up, and that putter's starting to get a little hot too. So I like JT here, previous winner.
I like
Oh boy. The
Yeah, you have
number
back-to-back picks.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go a little bit off the wall here, and I'm gonna go with Sungjae.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Cam Smith.
Yeah,
No,
that off the wall.
of that shit.
And hey, we're just all saving Cam Smith for the Open Championship, man.
That's what
it. So, all right. So JT and Sanjay. I'm also going a little off because he's had a very good record here, and he could get extremely hot, but his cuts record here, and that's where we need to just keep making money. And that's Hideki Matsuyama. I'm going to go with Hideki as my second pick here. And Jesse, I hope you don't pick one of Shelton's because then I'm going to have to text him back. Hey, go ahead.
I'm kind of stuck between two people, but I love the way he got fired up in his press conference at the end of the week this past week. I'm going to go with Shane Lowry.
Love it.
Yeah. Very nice.
That is a really good.
Well, I love the way he got so fired up because it's like, I mean, Rory's his boy, they're friends, but it's like he just, he was passionate. He cared about the fact that he lost going down the stretch, and it just lit a fire under him when they were just, all they wanted to do was talk about Rory. And I just thought it was like, I was like, you know what, that dude's, I like him anyways, but I was like, he's gonna do something here soon. So
You know what? Shame on the media for that.
Yeah.
It's the third
100%.
freaking round. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
all those guys should have got their credentials taken away from Augusta until next year. They are out next year. They can't come on premises. That's the most boneheaded thing you could ever do to an athlete in the heat of the moment, is talk about someone else. That was just borderline just retarded.
Yeah, they did it for
Yeah.
20 years when Tiger was relevant, and not saying that he's not relevant now, but when he was playing on a regular basis, anybody who stepped in front of a mic was asked about Tiger Woods. So
Mhm.
Well, I really appreciate you guys stalling there because I had to get like 3 or 4 clarifying questions from Shelton texting. So he's going to go with Xander Schauffele as his second pick here. So round Blakely, to you for the final pick.
I'll go with Ludwig.
Yeah, I like it.
nice.
Very nice.
I think Oberg's gonna have a really good week, and he's due here pretty soon. I mean, Rory Oberg is pretty solid there for Blakely.
Yeah.
Shelton picked Bryson and Xander. Jesse was Scotty and Shane Lowry. I took Colin and Matsuyama, and Wes has got JT and Sung J M. Good picks, boys.
I don't hate any of that.
Not at all.
Well,
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, the win is huge.
Win is everything.
We had some really good, I think, so we got 2, 4, 6, 10 players we picked last time for the Masters. Only 2 missed the cut. And Wes is up by 3.2 million. So it's you got to have a win, man.
Wind is heavy.
100%.
But great picks.
All right, boys, you got anything else before we wrap up here?
No.
No, I think we are golden.
Well, as always, I appreciate you guys joining. Cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen.
boys.
Hope everybody enjoys the PGA Championship, and we'll catch you all down the road.
Yes, sir.
See ya.